Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today, I got a great top deck for you coming your way. And this one is on the back of the MQ or Mythic Qualifier weekend. Many of you may have missed that because you're busy watching all the esports activities with the Rivals League and all that stuff. But this particular deck is one that we have not covered. It made it to day 2. And additionally, it is kind of a offshoot in terms of the archetypes. So very, very excited to cover this today because I know I get a lot of stuff from you guys in terms of this or that, or break these out a lot of times in terms of the tier list, which you guys can absolutely go check out. And this is another great cut and flavor in terms of a particular archetype that we'll talk about here in a minute. Additionally, we may be able to hit Mythic today. So I'm very excited about that. And geez, it is almost November already. Well, I like to say slow and steady does win the race. So a little bit slower climb this month for me, but hey, let's go ahead and see if we make it happen today. With that said, Planeswalkers, I just want to cover one note here too as well. Really just want to say thank you. A lot of you have been commenting, a lot of them first times as well, and being very appreciative of my content. And I really, really appreciate that. So shout outs to all of you that have been doing that and dropping me lines and notes. I really appreciate that connection. And obviously the compliments really, really help. And one of the reasons why I produce this content for you. So, all right, Planeswalkers, enough of that. But again, thank you. As always, I appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there, whether it's your first or 100th time here. Additionally, you can like the videos if you like them. You can also like me on Facebook, and you can also follow me on Twitter and Twitch to stay up to date. Additionally, feel free to check out my Untapped profile down below to stay up to date on my Mythic journeys each and every month, or at a daily pace, because I believe it is kind of real time. So, all right, Planeswalkers, enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive into the deck and see what we got going on here from the day 2 out of the MQ weekend. Well, my friends, we have a mono green food deck. Yes, that is correct. So that is where we're going in terms of the offshoot. It is not a mono green stompy. It is a mono green food deck. And I know a lot of you always like to break those things out in the tier list, and I absolutely agree. It does make a difference because that is just the way it is. So for those of you that are new or returning, it is, in terms of the naming convention here for the deck, it is mono green because it is only green mana here. And then additionally, the food comes from, and I'm going to borrow Trail of Crumbs here as an example, this little thing right here called food. And the food is a token artifact that we can tap for 2, or for 2 mana. We can tap it, sacrifice it, and gain life. It does do a lot of things, particularly in this deck, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, because I think it's going to be pretty important to cover. Now, with that said, Planeswalkers, before we talk about the deck, we do cover the main board here for best of 1. We talk about the sideboard for best of 3. And then additionally, I talk about how to sideboard. And then lastly, we'll jump into some best of 1 and best of 3 matches as well. Now, quickly here before we start to go through the deck, as always, I just want to say the deck is below in the description. There are deck lists down below as well, and then obviously you can copy and paste it so you'll have access to it right away. Now, Planeswalkers, let's go ahead and walk through the deck and see what we got going on. If you do have questions or comments as we're going through this, please feel free to ask. I'm pretty excited about this deck. Obviously, we know it's competitive because it debuted. Additionally, it was very trendy for a while. It's kind of starting to find its place in the meta a little bit more, but obviously, again, a top deck for us to absolutely check out. So what do we have going on here? Well, first off, we got Gilded Goose, and that's got a lovely food component to it. So Goose is a Throne of Eldraine card. It's flying. When Gilded Goose enters, we get to create that food token. We can either create another food token with Gilded Goose, or we can also tap and sack and create 1 mana of any color, which is very, very important, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Next, we got Primal Might. So this card's an M21 card. Our target creature gets X+X, where X is that mana cost up above, and then it fights up to 1 creature we don't control. So very, very good in terms of helping us control the board. But what's interesting is we're only running 1 of these here on our main board. Next, we got Scavenging Ooze. Many of you know that I'm a huge fan of the Skoos. Here we get exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, we get to add a +1/+1 counter, and we gain 1 life. This is huge for thinning our own graveyard against decks like the Rogues decks or Mill decks. Additionally, taking things out of our opponent's graveyard if they're running things like Phoenix or something else that could actually hurt us too. Next, we got Tangled Florahedron. So again, a great ramper. Obviously, like we talked about, Goose's ramper. Or if you need the land drop, you got a modal land here. Next, we have Trail of Crumbs. So here is a huge, huge aspect in this deck. This used to be extremely potent in the Jun Sack decks. And in particular here, what Trail of Crumbs does is when it enters the battlefield, again, we get to create a food token. Whenever we sacrifice a food, we may pay 1. When we do, we get to look at the top 2 cards of our library. We reveal a permanent card from among them, put it into our hand, and put the rest on the bottom of our library in any order. So 1, we get huge card draw advantage here. It's very, very important, and it pairs really well with Gilded Goose. So if you didn't know this, all you got to do is tap sack the food, create the mana, and then you'll get a draw with Trail of Crumbs. So it's a very, very almost free draw in terms of that, and a huge, huge component that works really, really well. So a lot of things to remember. And additionally, you can do this whether it's an offensive maneuver or a defensive maneuver, and a lot of different tricky mechanics that we can pull out here. Very, very powerful card in this deck. Next, we got Landlord Visionary. So again, a draw, a ramp card, very, very good in this format. Next, we got Lovestruck Beast. So now we're starting to get into some of these bigger creatures. So we all know that we can create the 1/1 white human creature token, and then additionally, this creature can only attack if you have a 1/1 on the board, but gives us a nice big body nonetheless. Next, we have Kazandu Mammoth. So this is an awesome, awesome modal land card. Additionally, it's got the landfall component from Zendikar's Rising. And whenever a land does enter the battlefield with this card, we get to go +2/+2 with it. Now, here is a real key card in the deck. And this one you can absolutely misplay with. So we're gonna talk about this here for a minute because it's really, really important. So when Wicked Wolf enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature we don't control. We can sacrifice a food, put a 1/1 counter on Wicked Wolf, and it gains indestructible until end of turn. But then we also have to tap it. Now you have to be careful. Because I've seen misplays in terms of the sack on the counters, or indestructible there too, which can cause a problem and can cause that misplay that can cost you the game. So just need to be very cautious and cognizant of that because it can get a little bit frustrating. And I remember the days of old when this card was first around in Eldraine, so I'm happy to see it back and making an impact here in competitive Standard right now. Next, we got Vivian Monsters Advocate. So we are running 3 of this. A very powerful card again, being able to cast creatures off the top of our deck. So if many of you noticed, if we go back and look at what we got going on here, it's a very, very creature heavy deck. So we don't have a lot of things outside of that. So this card is even more powerful in this deck because we get to look at the top and cast creatures off. And again, we get to keep making a wider board in terms of these 3/3 beast tokens, whether it's Vigilance, Reach, or Trample, which is very, very big here. And then we can always -2 and get the Cascade effect, where when we cast our next creature spell this turn, we may search our library for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. The other cool piece about this one is Feasting Troll King. So yeah, so this has Vigilance and Trample. It's pretty brutal. So when it enters, we also get to create 3 food tokens, and then we can sacrifice 3 foods to bring Troll King back from our graveyard to the battlefield, and then we can activate this ability only during our turn. But good news is this is just like an escape. If you have the food abilities on the board, and if you land this thing on the board and then lose it, you obviously got your 3 food tokens to bring this back rather quickly. So very, very cool card. Very excited about this, being able to play this today. And then lastly here we have the Great Henge, which is beautiful and one of my favorite cards that I always talk about, from Throne of Eldraine here. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among our creatures. We get to add 2 mana. Additionally, we gain 2 life, and then whenever a creature enters, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then draw a card. So huge draw engines here. This card is super, super powerful in this deck. And then last but not least, in terms of lands, we do want to talk about these quickly. So we do have Castle Garenbrig, so we can tap this and add 6. So you're always going to want to do this. You'll see a lot of players do this. They'll tap it first, and then they'll spend their mana to make sure that it works properly and get the +1 there on that mana. And then additionally here we do have the Gingerbread Cabin. So if we have 3 or more other forests, when Gingerbread Cabin enters the battlefield, untapped, we get to create a food token. It enters the battlefield tapped if we don't control 3 or more forests. So that's something to remember there too. Lots of great abilities here. We're running 25 lands. If we add the 2 modals plus that other 2 modals there, that gives us a, what was that, 25 lands, right? 25, yep, 29 lands. So a lot going on there. For best of 1, you guys know that I would probably run this a little bit tighter. The only challenge here though is we do have some bigger casting costs, so we have to make sure that we're consistently hitting that land drop. So that's going to be one of the challenges that we could face by going a little bit thinner there. All right, so big breath. Lots of things going on here with our mono green deck by our friend Wakasama MTG. But let's go ahead now and talk about our sideboard, because this is really important. As always, many of us not only love to play best of 1, but also play best of 3. And I know I've been hearing a lot of comments from you about making that transition from best of 1 to best of 3. From my experience, having played the MQ and always also playing best of 1, but traditionally starting in best of 3, it's a good path in terms of learning both. And then the more competitive you get, you also want to kind of slowly ease into best of 3, which is why one of the reasons why we cover this. All right, so sideboard here we got Chainweb Arachner. So the key parts here, and where you're going to want to play this is against flyer decks. So you could play this against a Yorion deck if you wanted, but the real kicker here is for the rogues decks. In mill decks, you're absolutely going to want to play this. Bringing this back from your graveyard gives you a real nice big creature. Additionally, you can pick things out of the air with it. So this is where you're going to want to play that one. Next, we got Run Afoul. So this is a M21 card. I think I've done this maybe once or twice on this one. But target opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. Again, a perfect card against Yorion, and also works against other flyers. We do have Witch's Oven. So this is the good old cat oven. Cat is unfortunately bye-bye, or fortunately bye-bye, depending on who you talk to. But you can absolutely run this in this deck. It gives us another opportunity to protect some of our creatures. Where would I play this? I would run this against decks that do have lethal ability on your creatures, or the ability to pick things off. If you have this on the board, you can evade direct damage things like Bone Crusher and pull those off. Additionally, anything like a Rakdos deck or control deck, Grixis control deck, you guys can check those ones out. This will help you kind of skirt around those. And additionally, things like Drown and Lock against some of the rogue decks too. So this is going to be really powerful, because we'll still gain value off our creatures when they're going to die. Next, we got Scavenging Ooze. So Scavenging Ooze, absolutely run it against things like Rakdos midrange. Run it against players that are leveraging and building their own graveyards, self-mill stuff. And then also you're going to want to play this, in my opinion, against the rogues decks, because it's nice to thin your own stuff and then also make a bigger creature and gain the life back. Next, we got Garruk's Harbinger. So where do you want to play this? I think many of you have seen me play against this card. So in particular against the matchups that weren't good in my favor. But you're going to want to play this against decks that are absolutely running black. The other benefit that we get with this creature is that when it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, we may look at that many cards from the top of our library, reveal a creature card or Garruk planeswalker from among them, put it into our hand, put the rest in the bottom of our library in a random order. So another good ability to go fishing for creatures. I like this one. Obviously against anything running black, we'll have some protection, whether it's a creature or a spell. Additionally, I do like, so things like the Rogues decks, things like the Rakdos decks. I also like it against some of the more control decks. And part of that, or late game decks, and part of that has to do with just finding creatures. So you can also make this a little bit more aggro-y in terms of that mono green. So just something to think about, something that I like in particular in this deck. Next, we got Lovestruck Beast, so we already have 3. You got another one here. I would run this against things like mono red, or you may need some of those early bodies and also bigger bodies. Boros Knights is a good one to run this against too. You're going to want these bodies to help you out there. Any kind of creature aggro decks, you could also run this against the Gruul aggro decks. Those are some good ones for you there. So really, really creature focused. That's where I play this. Next, we got Thrashing Brontodon. So this card's great. I would run this against anything running artifacts or enchantments. So these are going to be things like Orzhov enchantments. You could run this against the mono white enchantments, the Orzhov enchantment one that we just did the other day. So you guys can absolutely do it there. You're also going to run this against things like Esper, the Yorion decks. This has a lot of power in it. And there's a really interesting Mardu deck that does run some enchantments that you could try out. And some of the control decks do run Glass Casket, so this would be a good one to have in that space too. Next, we got Kogla, the Titan Ape. So many of you have seen this now with the Yorion Selesnya deck, so you guys can absolutely check that one out. I know it's very, very popular, and in fact, I actually think that this food deck inspired that one. But again, with Kogla here, where would I play this? When they're running a lot of enchantments, because when it attacks and it destroys enchantment or artifacts, so a lot of people forget that. Additionally, when they do have some big creatures on the board that you want to remove. And then lastly there, we do have that kind of ability to bounce things. You're going to want to pair that right here with Lovestruck. So you're going to be pushing back your 1/1 creatures. If you notice, there isn't anything else in terms of those humans. So that's another pairing that you're going to have to really, really think about. And it's going to work well in things against like mono red, work well against other mono green decks, mirror match decks, those kinds of things too. So keep that in mind. Thrashing Brontodon, I should have covered this too because I haven't actually been talking about the mirror, is great to run against mono green. This takes out Great Henge. So those are some good spots for you to consider as well. Last but not least, Primal Might. So again, this deck isn't necessarily about picking off creatures right now. So when you do run into more creature heavy decks, Gruul, mono red, enchantment-based creature decks, the Orzhov, Clerics decks, any of those things, you're going to put Primal Might in there. Anything that's creature heavy, this is a must. You want to keep clearing that board. And again, in particular, if you do play the Gruul, you want to keep those off the board. Anyone that's playing mono green, you want to keep the creatures off the board. So lots of good options there. We do top out, I think, slightly better at the higher end against some of those, but we just have to be a little bit cognizant and careful of that as well. And then obviously when we get the Wicked Wolf going and a lot of those food engines going, I think we're going to be in a good spot. Whew. All right, Planeswalkers. Now we're going to talk about how we sideboard. So I'm gonna cover some of the aggro stuff. I'm going to cover some of the mill stuff. I'm going to talk about mid range and then late game. So we talked about aggro. I would run Primal Might. I would also run if it's black, you're going to want Garruk's Harbinger. If it's not, I would go also Lovestruck Beast, and I do like the Kogla component like we talked about there as well. What would I look to sideboard out? So again, The lands is a lot for me. I would consider maybe dropping one forest and maybe one of the modal lands here as one spot. The other spot I would consider, I do like the cantrip or the draw with Landlord Visionary here. So that could be one spot though that you may want to cut. And then the other consideration you can make is just the top end of the deck of going a little bit lighter on the Feasting Trolls, because we know the ability to get here is going to be a little bit less. So 2 there, 1 there, so that's 3, maybe 1 or 2 here, so that's about 5. So that gives us 1, 2, other Scavenging Ooze and the Primal Mites, so we got a lot of good space there. So that's kind of how I would think about that. Now if we go up to the rogues, or we go up to the mill next, we're going to want to run Chainweb Arachner. You may want to run a Foul. You're also maybe going to want to run Witch's Oven. You're definitely going to want to run Scavenging Ooze. If it's black, you're probably going to have Garruk's Harbinger there, and you might cut the rest out there. So that's 3, let's call it 4, 5, 7. We'll go 7 because you might not play all those. So again, for me, slightly similar. I would probably go a little bit lighter here. You could even consider cutting a Vivian if you do run more Primal Mites and some of the other pickoff stuff for the aggro one. So now back to the mill. I would kind of consider that same spot. I would look at Landlore. You may want to drop a Lovestruck Beast as well, and maybe 1 or 2 in this space. So that should give you enough spot where I would not touch the things I would leave. I would leave Gilded Goose. I would leave Trill of Crumbs. You know, if you don't need a lot of the graveyard stuff, you can absolutely get rid of Scavenging Ooze. But and then I would absolutely leave Wicked Wolf. I think those are really some of the key engines here, and then also Great Henge you're probably going to want to leave in. I think everything else you can kind of shift and play around. Next, when we talk about the mid-range, we'll consider things like Rakdos, as well as, you know, some of the more Selesnya type decks, counter type decks. They do take a little bit more, but they're still kind of aggro-y. But what I would focus on again is the Scoozes. You know, if it's a little bit more creature based, you're going to want to put in the Primal Mites. But Rakdos in specific, you're definitely going to want Scavenging Ooze. If they're running black, you're going to want Garruk's Harbinger in there. And you may want to consider a Kogla and a Lovestruck, again, if they're more creature based. And similar story and style, I would probably look to cut in that space, similar space again, so probably less than 7, but just my flavor. If you do go lighter here in the troll space, it actually makes it more viable to also cut some of the forests. All right, and then last, the late game stuff. So how would we play the late game stuff? Well, this is going to be a Yorion deck. I would probably put the Run of Foul in. You may want to put Witch's Oven. I like Garruk's Harbinger for that draw like we talked about. If they're not running creature-based decks, you're probably going to want Thrashing Brontodon in there too. And you could absolutely go Lovestruck to be a little bit more aggressive. And then if they are running enchantments, you're going to want to put Kogla in there. Lots of good options. Wicked Wolf does lose value if they don't have creatures on the board. I know a lot of people like to save this card just to pick things off. I would tell you, if they have board wipers, you're going to want to play this. Just make sure that you have food on the board, because this creature staying indestructible is going to be a big key. You can't look at it as picking something off the board. You got to look at it as that survivability piece. Again, just a thought there too. So lots of good options, and Wicked Wolf is going to run good against Yorion too. That's kind of what we have today in terms of the deck strategy, conversation, and guide. So we've talked about the best of 1, we've talked about the best of 3, we've talked about the sideboarding, we talked a little bit of historical context here too. So if you do have questions or comments, like I said, always let me know down below. We're going to go into the best of 1, best of 3. Additionally, deck lists available down below. And let's go see if we can hit Mythic, my friends. Very excited about this. So let's make it happen. Let me move this here. All right, and we're going to start off with our best of one deck. And we are off Planeswalkers. So, as always, I like to say thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, if you like it, like the video, please like it. You can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Stay up to date on content like this. So, despite the fact that I don't like the gingerbreads right now, the fact that we got Trail of Crumbs and Gilded Goose, I am going to keep this. I don't like doubling up here, but we'll see how it goes. So it's at least an Azorius deck to start here. So I decided to play this over Trail of Crumbs because we can get Trail of Crumbs next turn, and then we can also get a double feeder by tapping both these down and get some draw if we need to, or we can always play Wicked Wolf to pull something off the board as well if we would like to. The challenge here is going to be if they actually have a counter. So here's how this works. We'll auto pay. We'll grab the other Trail of Crumbs. And we're gonna wait on one, leave one blocker up. Now, I did that to see if there was something else I could play. Ah, there they go. So now we can play Wicked Wolf next turn if they don't have a counter. So hopefully they'll play everything out. So here we go. We'll get our look. Grab another trail. So one of the problems here now is, there we go. It's not a problem because we got 4. Three or more other forests. So it counts as a forest. So if they don't have a counter now, so this is going to be tricky because we got to get the Wicked Wolf off without screwing up. So this is what I talked about. But we'll see if they got a counter or something. So we'll go here. So we'll fight first. Now on the stack, we'll eat a food. That was my fear. I'm gonna look. We're gonna grab this. So I'm going to expect that so we're going to create our food first. All right, on the stack, we'll see if we can get away with it again. There we go. So the benefit that we have right now is they haven't hit that second white source. All right, and the other benefit that we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can do this. This is because we want to maximize. Shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. I played that too fast. Let me think. We can back it out. It's not letting me play the Trail of Crumbs. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We'll do this. I need the land. There we go. So, a couple of things. Next, we can also play Vivian. So we can get Vivian on the board. Ooh, that's good. The fact that they missed is good for us. We need reach.
Every day is a new mutation.
So we got 2 blockers. We will double block. We will look. Ooh, Troll King. I'm gonna take that. Ooh, and we get Great Henge next turn, which is big. Let me see here. Hopefully they don't have a counter. There we go. We got it. Woo, we made it. Let's see. Probably like 95%. It's going to be my guess. Let us go look, my friends. We made it to Mythic. Whew. So in the past, I've done the journeys. Today, I just want to keep going through these decks for you guys. So You guys can absolutely give me the feedback if you'd like to do that again in the future. Always happy to share. But today we're going to just go through the deck. Yeah, 93%. That's kind of what I was thinking. So there we go. Good old 93%. So to give you an idea, that's where you hit. When you hit towards the last 2 days of the season, if you hit in the first 5, you make it to like top 500 like I've done in the past. So there we go. Congratulations, we did it. All right, let's go ahead and finish off our matches here because I know that's absolutely what you guys would like to see. All right, one more best of one. So a little bit more mechanics going on, a little bit more thinking through, which is good. You guys saw me misplay to a certain extent. I don't know if I could have played that a little bit differently, but now we are in Mythic space for the next couple days before everything resets. So I will keep this because I do have Trail of Crumbs. Let's see if we can get away with it. I'm going to assume ooh, there we go. Probably a Rogue's deck then. There's one rogue. Arctos it is. Ah, blue-black flash. We are in it. Oh boy, lots of lands. So I can absolutely do this. Because we got gingerbread for the next turn. Ooh, gingerbread. As long as they don't have a counter here, we're gonna look all right. Usually these don't run counters anyway. So this is going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 6. We'll be good. I can get Feast and Troll on the board next turn. So most of the flash decks, at least this flash deck, tends to be more creature based. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to start pulling damage in. We'll get Great Henge in next turn, and then Wicked Wolf, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. No creature flashes, so that's good for us. So again, we're going to go Forest, Great Henge, Wicked Wolf. hopefully I can't block this. Ooh, that one's gonna hurt. Accept, my friends. Oh, we need cola. Just kidding. All right, so here's what we're gonna do though. We are going to tap for 6. Oop, we don't have enough to that, sorry. We will do this. And we can bring this back with 3. Activate only during our turn. Do we want to do that is the question though. I think we can play safe. Because we can start bringing stuff back here. So we can pay life, use Trail of Crumbs. I wonder if we can go back off that, actually. There we go. Abilities of creatures, too. I'm debating. We'll see. They might have a counter. They got 3 up. It's not Ashiok Erasure though. Oh, it's 1 less because of Cunning. We'll leave 1 up. I'm gonna take the life. Can't play Great Henge. So let us 7. I'm going to let them both die. That's what's going to happen. Then we're going to bring this guy in. Ooh, there you go. That is a bummer. Whew. There we go. Now we can start getting through. We'll keep them up. So we still have one wolf. We got a few other things still. Let's see what we get here. So we got a few things now. We're gonna let this run slightly. I need to start attacking him though. We will have our Lovestruck Beast. As long as it's not running Zereth. It'll be alright. Alright, my turn. Ooh, and we got the scoos now. Let's do this. What's that leave me with? Plenty.
We're gonna have a beauty lies in variation.
So, if they can flash in enough cards here, they may win. And they did not. They did not flash enough in. So, we will create another reach.
I love making new friends.
Oh, my guys look so small all of a sudden. I'm gonna decline because it's just one of those anyway. So if we would have swung out, we still didn't have lethal. Ooh, we got it. 2-0 with our mono green and hit mythic in best of one today. So awesome, Planeswalkers. Alright, it is time to move on to our best of 3 match. There we go. Alright, into the best of 3 realm we go. Alright, Planeswalkers, as always, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch to stay up to date on content like this, and stay in touch by following my Untapped profile as well. All right, waiting on our opponent. Let's see what we got going on here. Dun dun dun. Ooh. Ooh. Yorion Deck. This is going to be a hard matchup for us. I'm going to keep it for now because it's going to be slow. And it's a blank deck. Oh man, lots of lands. Saving this in case we get Great Henge. Could have played it, ramped into Troll King next turn, but we'll be just fine because we can play this anyway. So Elspeth will take that off. Interesting. They did not play into it. This one. Ooh, nothing. We don't need to drop Skoos yet. There we go. Little bit bigger, guys. We'll try this. There you go. Crawling Barrens. Until your next turn. There you go. Create 2/4/4 Flying Angels. Indestructible till your next turn. What's interesting though is it's not... Oh, non-creatures. There we go. Okay, I was like pretty sure I missed something. So Kogla is going in this deck. We're gonna also play maybe a little bit faster. We'll see. So right now, boom, I was going to say we have enough for lethal. Alright, so Thrashing Brontodon is good in this. Run Afoul is good in this. Primal Might's not going to be good. I'm going to run Lovestruck, run the 2 Thrashing, run Kogla. Scavenging Ooze is not going to be good. Run Afoul could work. Chain Web could work. I like the Scoo. I do like Scoos in here though, but it's a lot of lands for me. 25. I'm gonna drop 2. I like Gingerbread, but it does slow me down. So what's that put me at? 22. I don't like that as much. I'll drop one of these guys. 23 plus 3, that's fine. We gotta drop one more. One more. Late game worked just fine. Scoos was fine. I think I set this out. Primal Might, we drop. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. Well, Tangle wasn't bad. If we need the land. 2 ramp. Let's drop 1 Viv. There we go. Actually, we'll keep 1 Viv. Go 1 Feasting Troll. I like that. There we go. Okay. I think we got it, Planeswalkers. We didn't see a lot, to be honest. So we'll see. The board wipe cards are the cards. This is fine. We got ramp. We got token generators. We got the Great Henge. Happy with that. We didn't see any counters. So I played Wicked to get the Great Henge on. Alright. So we get that on without any counters. We'll be okay. And we got Kogla. Oh! Huge, huge. So now we got Thrashing as well. So this is going to be big. Well, we can do that at any point. This is what, non-creature spells? I would sooner attack in first, so we can live with that. So we have 2, 5, 7, 10. And return target creature from your graveyard. We'll have 1. We'll nuke that thing. So they need a board wipe card. That works. Give him the draw. Whew. That is an interesting play. So they gotta have another trawler, I would think. Two draws. They did me a favor. I was struggling getting that trawler off. For 2 draw triggers. I must have another trawler. So I need to look. Oy. They're gonna have the board wipe now. Here it comes. Shoot, 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 shoot. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh man, there's Trawler again. How are we doing on time? Always like to look. Oh, I'm doing worse. I'll let you decide. That works. If we had Trail of Crumbs right now, we'd be in a better spot. I'm gonna end up running out of clock time on a losing game here. I'll see what I get for one more draw. They got tapped down. They technically have game right now. Minus the fact that I guess I can crack both of my foods here. But let's see. Alright, Visionary, let's see what we can do. Crawling Barrens. I want to see what else they have. I think we're in trouble. Let's go next match. Did not get the draw stuff going that we needed. Primal Might we don't need. I gotta think. Well, we had the right stuff. We just didn't get it. So I think we try that again. We got kind of flooded, but at least we'll be on the play. We just gotta play a healthy blend around some of those things. We'll play first. Here we go, Trillicrums. That's what we needed. And we got Thrashing, so we can deal with a few things. And Scoos. There we go. So we'll have Indestructible with Wicked Wolf on the board now. We'll get Ginger Cabin here. They're going to want to wipe the board still, I think. Because that gets rid of Scoos. It's going to get rid of a lot of damage. Yeah. Cabin. Play that. So we got 9 damage next turn. We have lethal a few different ways. Boom, we sealed it in, my friends. What a day, what a day, what a day. Best of ones, we crushed. We crushed best of 3, and we hit Mythic and ended at 94%. Just up, up, and up. What a great deck, lots of fun. Let's go ahead and check it out again. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, so happy. So happy. There's that nice 94%, my friends. All right. So, quickly here, let's go back. Look at the deck. So, here's what we got going on. Again, mono green by our friend Wakasama MTG. Congratulations again on your day 2 journey. Lovely mono green food, planeswalkers. Here's the list. We talked about it. We did it. Super awesome. Lots of fun. Did great in our performance today. Long day. I think this is one of the longer ones I've done in a while, actually. So, all right. I won't keep you too much longer here, but hopefully you enjoyed the list as much as I did. Lots of mechanics, lots of things. Very competitive. Worked well. We were able to go 2-1 against the Yorion Azorius deck, make a nice comeback and keep the pressure on. Again, deck list down below for you in the description. The links down below in the description for you. Journey down below too if you want to stay in touch and kind of follow me and how we're doing. Quickly, as always, Planeswalkers, again, I just want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, you can like the video if you like it. You can also like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on content like this as well. All right, Planeswalkers, big day today, exciting way to kind of go out in terms of, we do got a few left, I guess, in the month, but very, very happy to have a great run through like this today and hit Mythic. So anyway, Planeswalkers, you stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Until next time, Mythras out.